Aloha, I'm Philip John Neimark, the founder of the IFA Foundation International, and I'd like to welcome you to the next iteration of the weekly Ifascope. It's a dark, dreary, stormy day here in Florida, and so that's a change, and maybe it's a change for the better. I'm not sure. I apologize for my hoarseness, but I have a little cold, and that's what I have, and who knows, maybe somebody will find me, very sexy. I doubt that, because at age 75, that's not so much of an issue anymore. The point here is that when we examine the weekly Ifascope, which is those events for the coming week, we cannot examine your particular events. Now, we could if we were doing one-on-one divination, but when thousands of people are coming to look and read and see what this has to say, it can't possibly work that way. So instead, what we look for, no matter what the events may be, I mean, it could be a sick child, they could be an argument with your boss, they could be doing badly with your schoolwork, they could be all kinds of things. But when we see what those are, then Orunmila sorts through the, I don't even put a number on it, but there have been thousands of years that he has been watching and correlating what energies people are using and what the results are. So he knows what will be the best energy for maximizing the results, be they good or bad. And we all have habitual things. We all have knee-jerk attitudes where we fall into a trap. Like we're just very comfortable saying, "Oh, that's hunky-dory," or getting, "Oh, that's terrible," or whatever our response may be. And while that may be right occasionally, it's certainly not right every time. You have to modify the response to the events, and then you'll get some wonderful, wonderful opportunities. Speaking of opportunities, there is an opportunity to join my wife Ifascope on her WebEx every Wednesday, and if you just go onto our site and look for contact Ifascope, send her a little note and say, "Hey, I would love to be part and parcel of this exciting thing that you're doing every week. I understand there's no cost to it. I understand that there is a lot of education to it, and I'd like to give it a try." And she will get back to you with the information on how you can join the WebEx meeting. It's much simpler now with the new WebEx, and you don't need codes or anything else to have her let you in, or they let you in. She can give you that, and it'll be a lot of fun. Be the most interesting and the most, in some ways, comforting and in other ways unsettling information you've ever had about Ifa. So, now that I've done my husbandly duties, let's get to this week's Ifascope. It's kind of a fun Ifascope, and kind of surprised me, frankly, that it came like this. I'm going to have to work to get it even, but not too hard. And that is, it's Ogunda O'Shea. Ogunda, of course, is about do your work. Don't let yourself be distracted. Don't let your family or your friends or your acquaintances or even yourself pull away from something which needs finishing. Finish your everyday work. And then you can have fun. That's where the O'Shea comes in. It's about curiosity, exploration. It's part of the Oshun complex. It carries with it a lot of joy, etc. So it shouldn't be that hard to navigate, and yet, it is. So And it comes off path with OB, which was just slightly higher, by the way, than the O2, which would have made it on path. So the difference is very small, but nevertheless needs to be corrected. And that indicates that something sudden in our life that is making us change. Something sudden is, we're listening to it and being pulled away, or it makes sense to us, or we're using it for an excuse. And it really isn't the right thing to do, not this week. So we need to suck it up and do our everyday work. And then we can explore, be curious, all those kinds of things on the other side until we find what it is that makes us happy. The area of impact is success. That's always troubling to everybody, even though it's probably the least troubling of all those things that could happen to us. But it means it's either job or money or something we're attempting to do. It doesn't have to deal with money. Is not going to work out well. And that, of course, is going to be, very, very sad for us. And that comes with OBD. And it's saying that had we finished our amount of work and, consideration, that we would have seen the answer, that the opportunities would have been presented us, and everything would have been fine. But we didn't, and it isn't. And on the emotional side, the spiritual side, it's ED. That's the second half of the Oshun complex. That's about love and children and everything that has to do with Oshun. We certainly don't want to forget that. So we're going to get it back into Ire. And we do that through Orunmila. It's going to take this overview of understanding what we're doing, that everything has a time and a place, and that we have to adhere to that time and place. And the offering is going to be very unusual, because the offering is liquor to Orunmila, because this is a reason to celebrate. This is a reason to say, hey, I finished the work, and now I'm going to explore and be curious and experience other things. So this time, in one of those very few times, if you're used to listening to this for a number of years, you'll know we very seldom offer liquor to correct an EB or off-path reading. What we do is we offer it for an on-path, but here it slotted right into the fact that, hey, if we realize the kind of joy and happiness we can have if we just finish our work, then everything's going to be okay. And then the EB comes down to Ire, and we go tippy-tapping off on our happiness and exploration. The best energy, by the way, is going to be Otura ED, for adding nuances to it. Otura is about being more empathetic to other people's thoughts, more credence to them, letting them interject, their ideas before we act. And ED is, of course, all about Oshu. So it's liquor to Orunmila. You take 2 tea candles, one on each side. I mean, use the big boulders if you have it, but I always use the tea candles. And take the liquor and take and spit it on Orunmila. People ask why we spit it. It's in order to share our bodily fluids with Orunmila. It's not a matter of disrespect. It's a matter of our absolute respect. And I might explain that to those of you who don't understand it, so that you can put that in your memory bank and say, okay, I got that part of it. If you don't have an Orunmila, you take what suffices for it. You put it in a small tray or dish, and you still spit the liquor on it. By the way, take the cover off of your arugula, which will undoubtedly be in its holder, and expose the ekin, but you don't remove them. You just spit it on them, put it back, light the two white tea candles, and ask Orunmila to give you a bit more concentration so that you could finish your work and then be curious about the openings and the opportunities that are presented to you. Until next week, love and blessings.